Good morning, Secondary 4 Social Studies students. This is Mr. Seow, and today I want to conduct a lesson on social studies, the SRQ structured response question, which is the essay question, question 6, the blah blah essay. So, what you should have before I begin the lesson, you should have this worksheet with you on Taylor Swift, and you should also have your writing materials. And if you need to, you can also have your textbook and essay notes for globalization, because the concepts and the framework that we'll be approaching this set of essays will be through the framework of globalization. So without further ado, let's begin. Please, on this worksheet, note down that structured response question 6, the blah blah essay, will require you to come up with two ideas. One idea if you're doing N-level exam or if you're taking G2 social studies. Two ideas if you are taking G3 social studies for O levels. Come up with two ideas and explain them. In response to a prompt. And what does that mean? Because this sounds very vague and very broad. It actually is very vague and very broad because question 6 is a very flexible question, which is why I have christened it the blah blah essay, because it will ask any two blah blahs of you. So what does that mean? So if you were to look at some past year example questions, let's go to the website on social studies, sites.google.com/moe.edu.sg/Broadrick social studies. And we go to the essay tab on question 6. Here are compiled the O-level questions for this particular question 6. And we can start with the latest one. There are two 2024 O-level questions because this year there are two different syllabi being tested. But from 2025 onwards, it will only be the new syllabus, which is what you have been trained in. So it will revert to one question. In any case, all of these are possible questions that could be asked. So you can see it could be, how do you think Singaporeans can prepare themselves for the challenges of the global economy? Explain your answer in reference to two ways. And global economy here is a globalization tag question. What negative consequences would young Singaporeans face if they do not protect themselves online? Explain your answer in reference to two negative consequences. So not only do they want consequences, it has to be negative. And just looking at the 2024 questions, just thinking about this, how you would approach this in a practice, in an exam, is the same. You should look at the prompt and take a minute to generate ideas. So for this question on, the easier one is this one, right? What negative consequences would Singaporeans face if they don't protect themselves online? Ideas that would jump straight at you would be things like getting scammed and losing their money. That's one. Or facing identity fraud and theft, which puts you at risk. That's two. Um, or I think there were a few other types of negative online behavior, perhaps bullying, cyberbullying. That's three. So if you don't have the right safeguards, you could be cyberbullied by strangers or by people you know. These are just three examples: scams, identity theft, and cyberbullying, and there could be more. But you start with generating the ideas, and if as you generate the ideas, some very ready examples come to you, you should also jot them down because these could be what you use to craft the response. For this, how do young Singaporeans prepare themselves for the challenges of the global economy? This is clearly a Chapter 9 tag question on the economic impact of globalization. This requires you to have some conceptual understanding of the global economy, of trades, of flows, of migration, and to understand how that differs from a national or a local economy. And to start with, you have to understand the idea of economy. Economy refers to money. Associated words include business, profits, employment, investment. And so when we talk about the challenges of the global economy, there are already sort of two or three segments here that you need to unpack and understand. In particular, you might understand that the challenges of having connected global economies between countries will be different for countries and for individuals. So when the question has framed it and fronted it as young Singaporeans, you know that it's an individual tag question. Pulling all these things together, you know now that this question is really asking you, in an age where globalization has connected people around the world, if you are a young person in Singapore, and how do you want to respond to the and strategize your entry into the global economy, and it's tagged to challenges. So one thing that jumps straight to mind is employment and unemployment, right? Because of the increased flow of people, or there could be more competitors in the education system, in the jobs market. And if you are a young professional, or if you are a student and you face competition from foreign friends, what does that do? And there are positive impacts, no doubt. And many of you who have classmates who are non-Singaporean from other countries will notice that if they have a strong work ethic, they might influence you to positively to also want to revise, study, and improve yourself, and that is a positive impact. But there could also be negative consequences, challenges, and how do you respond to that? So hidden in this question is a whole host of conceptual links that you need to unpack, understand, and then craft an effective response to. It's not easy. It's not easy. That's it. I just wanted to briefly illuminate these two questions to draw back to my broader point that every question is different. Two ways, two negative consequences, two lessons, two messages, two benefits, two reasons, two strategies, right? These are all different prompts, different things that the question is asking of you, different blahs. And so the question 6 question cannot be predicted, it cannot be spotted. Anyone who tells you that they can spot what's coming up for question 6 or has some sort of very nifty, targeted way to revise and study and prepare for question 6, they are unlikely to be telling you the whole story, right? Because question 6, by design, is a divergent thinking question. Again, question 6, by design, is a divergent thinking question. And divergent thinking means that you want to come up with as many possible ideas, routes, and branches as possible. And this will be different from question 7. And question 7 is different because question 7 is a convergent thinking question. When question 7 comes up with the two factors that you need to analyze, when question 7 comes up with the focus that anchors the question, you know exactly which chapter of the textbook you will be drawing on. So that one is convergent. The set of facts, examples, thinking processes, and concepts is somewhat fixed. You can't deviate too far. But for question 6, the blah blah question, there is a whole range of flexibility. And for many of you, this could be liberating because you don't have to be sort of bound to your textbook. You can express yourself freely. If you are the type that loves reading current affairs, loves thinking up questions, responding to examples that you see in the news, this is the perfect question for you. If you're more straight-laced and you want the answer given to you, this might be a bit of a challenge that you need to overcome. Okay, so past this sort of introductory blurb on question 6, let's look at the practice we are doing today. Because we are doing question 6 on globalization, I tried to design questions that will weave in a lot of the concepts that we talked about in globalization in terms of interconnections, interdependence, transportation developments, digital communications revolutions, trade, investment, spread of culture, dilution of culture, transnational terrorism, cybersecurity, things that we would have talked about in class. And I thought about how do all these disparate concepts from cybersecurity and scams to trade and investment to the spread of culture, how could I possibly have one extract or anchor example to sort of hit these different ideas? And then I was reminded of Taylor Swift. And for some of you who have attended the concerts, you know that Taylor Swift is not just music. She's a global pop icon that happened to land in Singapore. And here I have a chance to just mention another nugget that in general, question 6 will focus on Singapore. In general, question 6 will be landing on Singapore. So you will see that question 6 often directly mentions Singapore. So if the question requires you to stay to Singapore examples, please do not stray. Please do not talk about your exhaustive, extensive knowledge of the Arctic wasteland of Russia or the great rainforest of the Amazon. Please do not stray far from what the question has asked for. Okay. So we typically the question 6 will come with extract 1. It is just a starting point to your thoughts. It's sort of meant to trigger some ideas. It is not an answer key and it is not a source. Do not quote the extract as evidence. Extract 1 is a poster on Taylor Swift. Extract 1 shows a poster for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, a series of concerts held worldwide. She's an American singer-songwriter known for her country music and has a net worth of 1 billion. So can I get you to just read through these 6 questions on your own first and see how the questions are designed? 6A asks, how is it possible for American music to become so popular in Singapore? Explain your answer with reference to 2 reasons. This question is designed to tap on your knowledge of the concepts of globalization. Things like development of technology, development of communications technology in particular, transmission of, for example, soundtracks or media files through the digital revolution. So that is the concept that you need from chapter 8. You could also use the transportation angle, that the fact that there are planes means that Taylor Swift can physically go around and spread her music at concerts and raise more awareness, popularity. And specifically this example of her flying to Singapore for the Eras tour, that's a perfect example to use, right? Okay, so question 6B, what are the effects of the Taylor Swift concerts on Singapore's economy? This is a chapter 9 type question on the economic impacts of globalization. I leave you to look at it. 6C, when attending concerts, how should everyone behave in order to create a safe and secure experience? This is more of a general type question, but you could also bring in your concept of terrorism from chapter 11 to help you for this question, right? In particular, what are some preventive, protective, and responsive measures by different people, individuals, in order to ensure that mass events do not lead to security incidents. 6D, in your opinion, how does Taylor Swift's success change local music industries in Singapore? Explain your answer in reference to 2 changes. This is chapter 10, cultural impact question. 6E, in light of numerous ticket scams suffered by Taylor Swift fans, and you might have heard of this, you might have suffered something similar yourself. What can we learn about protecting ourselves from scams? Explain your answer in reference to 2 lessons. So, these questions are a set of 5 questions meant to demonstrate to you that simply from one extract, one idea, one example, the examiner could branch out to a whole range and plethora of different asking styles, different blah blahs demanded of you, as it were. So you can't spot the question, you can't prepare and memorize notes for this question, but you can practice explanation skills, thinking skills that allow you to be flexible and nimble and respond to different prompts. Okay, and how is this worksheet designed? If you have been with me for social studies since the start of Sec 3, you'll be familiar that when I set these questions, and I have these worksheets, typically I will show you the writing scaffold, which is the PU argument. I leave you to recap this on your own. And I will also provide one sample PU paragraph for each of the 5 prompts. And you will see that for 6A, for 6B, for 6C, for 6D, and for 6E. So you will have a reference and some sense of how you could possibly craft this essay, and then you get to try it on your own. And in this video, I would like to perhaps work out one essay with everyone, and then I leave you to do the rest on your own. So let's look at this prompt, or let's do 6A. How is it possible for American music to swiftly become so popular in Singapore? Explain your answer with reference to 2 reasons. And the sample paragraph I've given to you, perhaps you can read and highlight. One reason, this is the ATQ. Can you please analyze it? So I am answering the question directly. One reason is the spread of new digital communication technology, and this is my point. For example, Spotify is a streaming application that provides easy and affordable access to music records from artists worldwide. YouTube is a streaming application that allows users to watch and share music videos from their favorite singers. This is the elaboration. Importantly, when I elaborate, notice that I have some specific and concrete examples. I cannot just wave my hand and say, oh, there's a lot of new technology and this technology helps you do A, B, C. I want to come up with specific examples as far as possible to signal to the examiner that I know what I'm talking about. Okay. As a result, and here's the explanation, listeners can have easy access, and notice that I've also tagged the word Singapore here to respond to the word Singapore here. So as I'm writing my essay, there's an intentionality behind it. So when it's cheaper and it's easy to access this high quality soundtrack, I can listen, right? So when I can listen, I can become a fan. And that's why American music is now so popular, because it's so easy to access American music. Furthermore, um, there's more engagement, audience engagement. So it's easy for friends to just recommend to each other, hey, listen to this new soundtrack. And that boosts the influence of the American musicians. So here I have a very tightly crafted PU paragraph. And when I have a highly tightly crafted PU paragraph that responds directly to the question about how American music becomes popular, what's the reason, I am I will be able to get credit all the way to level 3. And so this paragraph would be a level 3, 5 to 6 mark answer out of 7. So this will be 5 to 6 on its own. Shall we try writing our own PU response? Okay, so let's try. So another reason is I can take perhaps the example that I gave. Another reason that American music can swiftly become so popular is the use of social media. That's it. By young Singaporeans. And here you have more examples than me, but let me try. So for example, young Singaporeans are often scrolling their social media feeds from Instagram and TikTok. These applications contain pictures, videos, and captions about the latest trends, spreading awareness of new popular culture, products, and icons, such as Taylor Swift. Okay, so here I have here I have an example that directly speaks to the popularity of American music, such as Taylor Swift. Is there another American person I know, American musician? Jay-Z? Jay-Z? I hope I got this right. Okay, so let's do the explanation. As a result, uh, American music releases and products can quickly can can be noticed and gain attention from people around the world, including in Singapore, as the videos featuring such music become spread in a viral way. Furthermore, social media tends to have a strong influence on young people who want to have similar preferences and experiences with their friend groups. Consequently, any young people who share about American music might have outsized impacts in changing and in bringing these music tracks to the attention of other local youth, resulting in the rapid rise of popularity for American music in Singapore. Okay, and so I have used my example about TikTok and Instagram to explain musicians such as Taylor Swift. Okay, to explain why is it that this social media example can lead to greater popularity of American musicians in Singapore. And so I just close up. Thus, American music can swiftly become popular in Singapore due to social media, the use of social media. So I really have walked you through this essay entirely. And part of why I can, in a sense, think up these ideas and examples and explanations so quickly is because of practice. Because as a teacher, I have had to write many of these essays as answer keys for you, my students, to learn from. And so please, as you are looking through this video and doing this worksheet, A, think about the prompt before you write down my sample essay. If possible, do try one on your own first. B, don't be intimidated by the fact that your teacher can do it fast because your teacher is trained, and that's why I am your teacher. Instead, know that with practice comes greater speed, quality, and reliability in terms of how you respond to the prompt. Okay. And number three, it is permissible and encouraged for you to discuss with your friends on how to craft this pew essay because collaborative learning can improve your own understanding. If you need to, or if you would like to, you can also use generative AI tools such as Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT 4.0 to generate some ideas and possible explanations for yourself. But please always recraft the response in your own way. Otherwise, you are learning nothing. And also check the veracity of ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot's outputs because these could be unreliable. Just yesterday, I was using ChatGPT to find a good quote for me to summarize chapter 9, and ChatGPT gave me some quote, and I found it a bit suspicious. So I asked ChatGPT for the source, and ChatGPT admitted that it lied. I don't have the screenshot here, but ChatGPT basically said something like, "Oh, there's no such source because I invented it." And so you do have to be aware that generative AI can invent fake information. So you have to probe it and you have to ask for the original source. You can't just quote AI and say this has happened. It might not have. Okay, so with those two cautions in place, I encourage you to try the rest of the worksheet on your own. 6B will be a bit tricky. 6B will be a bit tricky because the concept of the economy is a bit tricky. I have crafted one about local businesses and how businesses can gain profit. And for your own pew response about tax revenues, I want to just perhaps start with if you were to choose this tax revenue as another angle, for what is the effect of Taylor Swift concerts on Singapore's economy, explain your answer in reference to two impacts. if you were to choose tax revenue as your other point, or maybe I'll just start writing it for you, because this idea of tax is tricky and you might not have that example. So let me just give you some examples. Another impact is that the Singapore government would gain increased tax revenues. So how does that work? I leave you to read up more about tax on your own. Essentially, tax is how the government gets money to spend on public goods and on services, such as public transportation, or to subsidize healthcare, or to subsidize your education, or to build our secondary school. So government needs money to do all these great stuff for the public, and that's accumulated through tax. And there are multiple channels of tax. And in this case, one channel that would be very relevant would be as tourists and locals frequent the concert venue and spend money on food and shop entertainment, they would also increase the revenues collected by the government through the goods and service tax. Which is 9% of the receipt. So this is one way that the government would be able to gain money, which is the goods and service tax. Another way could be through the use of motor vehicles. And another way, maybe let's look at the tourist angle. Additionally, tourists who tax, or never mind. Let's just keep it the GST here. So maybe another way would be businesses such as hotels and restaurants who gain more tourist traffic and increase their revenues would also have to pay to pay more corporate tax due to higher profits, which also increases the government's tax revenue. So these are perhaps two examples: corporate tax and GST. And for your explanation, as a result, you can talk about how the government is able to generate more money for itself to spend on public goods, which can improve the living conditions of people in Singapore. Or you could do a deeper dive into how how tourist spending would increase the tax revenues for the government. Generally, this is a bit of a tricky paragraph to write. I leave you to try it on your own. Otherwise, you could try to do another angle, which is to talk about the increased consumption by locals or increased spending by locals, or come up with your own form of impact. All right. So I think this is about it for my lesson today. Please finish up the whole worksheet. If the line spacing is too short, please use foolscap paper to craft your essays. And this will probably be the last sort of big worksheet we have for question 6 blah blah essay. So at this point, if you need more examples, either look for me or start doing your 10-year series. And in this year, towards the national exams, I wish you happy revision and all the best. Thank you.